Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a closer look at something that might seem simple but is incredibly meaningful, the Uyghur Doppa.
That's right. It's a traditional headwear, but, well, it's so much more.
Exactly. And we know you, our listener, appreciate getting to the heart of cultural symbols quickly and, thoroughly. So we've gathered insights from cultural studies,
Yeah.
personal
A
stories.
real mix of sources.
Yeah. Our mission for this deep dive is basically to unpack the history, the symbolism, all the layers packed into this single item of clothing.
And what strikes you right away, I think, is the sheer emotional weight of the dopa. There's this Uyghur saying.
Hmm.
It's quite poignant.
Which one is that?
My head fits my dopa, but I don't fit into this world.
Wow.
Yeah, it says so much, doesn't it?
Yeah.
About that connection, maybe that feeling of displacement or just navigating the wider world while holding on to who you are.
That really resonates. And you feel that same kind of powerful connection in the lyrics of the song Badam Dopa. Badam means almond, right? Linking it to places like Yerkent, known for its almonds.
Precisely. The song itself has roots there.
Let's just take a moment with these words. I'll read them slowly. They really deserve it. My proud almond doka stands tall. Wearing it, I could stride into Cairo, into Rome, into New Delhi, and even into the Masjid al-Haram.
It gives you chills, doesn't it? Yerkent, the homeland, the almond land,
Mm-hmm.
and then wearing the dopa, it's like a passport. It empowers the wearer, lets them travel in their mind to these huge global centers, these significant religious sites.
It's such a declaration of identity, beyond just borders.
Absolutely. And our sources, they really hammer this home, the dopa, as a fundamental symbol of Uyghur national identity.
It's not just like an optional accessory.
No, not at all. It's a tangible piece of a unique culture, a culture shaped by everything: their environment, lifestyle, art, beliefs, customs.
And you see it. It's visible in daily life, at celebrations. It marks very clearly Uyghurness.
But, pinning down its exact origins, how it became known as dopa specifically,
Mm.
that's a bit of a historical puzzle.
Right. We know the term book was used earlier.
Yet, there's even a kind of a fun story about Nasreddin Effendi, the folk hero, wishing he had a book. So it was clearly a known thing.
Suggests it was part of popular culture back then.
Exactly. Burk seems to have been a more general term for headwear, and book, a specific type that sort of evolved into the dopa we recognize.
So, this evolution from book to dopa, what do we know? A scholar, Abdurrahim Habula, pointed out that while there were many kinds of book, the earliest forms are, well, a bit mysterious.
hmm Tradition suggests they were maybe silk, unlined, had tassels,
Hmm.
and that somehow led to the name dopa.
And finding detailed written records about the book is tough, but there are clues.
Right, like Mahmud al-Kashgari, a really important scholar from the 11th century. In his big work, The Compendium of the Turkic Dialects, he mentions a couple of types of burk.
What were they?
Gujili burk, described as decorative, and shukurlap burk, a tall hat. These are like the earliest written mentions we have.
And this is where it gets really interesting, connecting to archaeology.
Totally. Some hats found on, the Tarim Basin mummies look remarkably similar to those descriptions.
Wow, so a potential link going way back.
It hints at a very long history for this kind of headwear. But it's important to remember, the ancient book and the modern dopa aren't identical.
Different shapes.
Yeah, the early ones seem to have had a more rounded base, maybe a pointed or dome top. The modern ones are often more angular. That
Uh,
change probably happened over centuries, fashion, materials, maybe symbolism changing too.
And we have visual proof, too, don't we? From much later, but still very old.
Yes. There's this amazing 5th century AD mural in the Simsim Mingoi caves near Kucha.
What is it? Sure.
It shows merchants, and two of them are clearly wearing embroidered dopas, really detailed.
5th century, that's incredible. So the artistry was there early on.
Definitely. And there was also headwear found on a mummy from the Kumdarya Valley. It had a wool layer underneath a felt dopa with tassels. It just reinforces this long, rich tradition.
So we see this gradual shift. The sources suggest moving from that rounder, pointier top to the more four-cornered styles, especially from the late 19th century on.
Right. But interestingly, you still see both rounded and four-cornered types today. It's a mix of old and, well, less old.
And this long history, this evolution, it led to just an incredible variety of styles, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. A huge diversity. You hear names like Badiam, Tashkent, Jilem, Menpu. Just a few examples. Apparently, there are over 100 types.
Over 100. That's amazing.
It really is. And the dopa is often considered, the most refined, the most artistic part of Uyghur clothing.
And these different styles, they often had traditional associations, right? Like for men or women or different ages.
Yes, traditionally. For instance, men might more often wear styles like chiman or badam. Women often favored gillam or other rounder styles, sometimes with embroidered borders.
And age played a part, too.
It did. Younger people might wear the badam style, older men perhaps the chiman. And there were specific styles associated with girls versus older women, too.
It goes beyond just wearing it, though, especially for Uyghurs living abroad.
That's a really important point. For the diaspora, displaying dopas in their homes has become a powerful way to express identity, cultural pride. It's art, it's decoration, but it's also a statement.
And events like the Uyghur Doppa Festival help keep that tradition alive and visible.
Exactly. It's about preservation and celebration.
So, if we zoom out, what are the main takeaways from the history?
Well, two things really stand out from the sources. One is this clear, unbroken line of Uyghur headwear tradition. The other is the incredible diversity that blossomed within that tradition.
And scholars have different ideas about the precise origins.
Yeah, there are a few angles. Some see it as a blending of earlier headwear types. Others link it more specifically to historical periods like the Orkhan Uyghur Kaiganat or the Karakatins.
Right.
And some emphasize how geography, philosophy, and aesthetics shaped it.
It makes sense there'd be different perspectives.
And you can also look at it through like a social lens, how it marks age, gender, status, what ceremony it's for.
Even profession sometimes.
Right. Or through an environmental lens, different styles for different seasons or regions. And of course, the artistic view, shape, pattern, material, how it's made. So many layers.
Let's talk about those regional variations. They really show the diversity. Kashgar, for instance.
Kashgar dopas often had these striking black edges, usually with white floral patterns. And for women, there are special almond dopas, the chuchilik ones, sometimes with gold or silver embroidery. Very elegant.
And a 10. Different again.
Very different. Often rectangular frames, geometric stitching, lots of bright, colorful threads. Seems to be a favorite style for women there.
Okay, what about kucha?
Kucha is famous for marjan dopas. For women, marjan means coral. They're decorated with raised coral beads, really beautiful.
And turpin.
Chopin dopas tend to have wide floral patterns, narrow edges. The overall effect is almost like a flower crown because the embroidery covers so much of it.
Sounds lovely. And kumul and ili.
Kumul dopas are known for complex patterns and beautiful colors. Ili dopas are often round, very harmonious colors, unified stitching, quite delicate.
And there are some really small ones, too.
Yeah, in places like Naya, Keria, down south, you see these small, butterfly-shaped embroidered dopas, often under 10 centimeters, usually worn by middle-aged or older women. Shows that real, local flavor.
So much variety. Now, is there a right way to wear one?
Well, for the common four-cornered ones, the idea is usually to have the front visible and maybe about a third of each side showing. It's often worn tilted slightly, just above one eyebrow.
Not straight on.
Generally, yeah. A perfectly centered or square look is seen as less stylish, maybe. The tilt can depend on comfort or even how you part your hair.
Interesting. And does the type you wear change depending on the situation?
Definitely. For festivals or happy occasions, you'll see brighter colors, more decoration, maybe floral patterns. For everyday life, simpler, perhaps handmade ones.
And for sad occasions.
For mourning, traditionally, darker almond pattern dopas or plain velvet ones are worn.
Makes sense. What about those golden crowns mentioned?
Yes. Historically, girls might have worn golden crowns or ribbons, but now you mostly see those in, like, stage performances.
It really highlights how central headwear is in Uyghur tradition overall.
It really is. Men often have seasonal headwear. Women usually wear a scarf or a dopa. Going bareheaded, especially at important events or ceremonies, is generally considered improper.
And the headwear itself can tell a story.
Yeah, sometimes it can indicate where someone's from, maybe their job, their age group. And it's not just dopas, there are winter hats too, right?
Right, like the leather tumak.
Exactly, with different regional styles for those too.
Yeah.
And the quakat, the ear flap hat, different preferences in different areas.
One last thing that came up in the sources, gifting dopas.
Oh yeah, that's a lovely tradition. Giving a dopa is a sign of respect, of friendship. Leaders might give them, friends might exchange them. Sometimes it's a token of affection.
It really reinforces its role as a cultural symbol.
For sure. It's a way of sharing and promoting the culture.
So wrapping up this deep dive, it's incredibly clear the dopa isn't just headwear. It's identity, history, art, cultural values all woven together.
It's truly multifaceted.
Mm.
And hopefully, for you listening, you now have a much richer sense of what's contained in every single thread of a Uyghur Doppa.
It really shows how everyday objects can carry such deep meaning, doesn't it?
Absolutely. They're packed with stories if you know how to look.
Which leads us to a final thought to leave you with. Thinking about the Dopa, with its deep history and its place in the modern world, what other ordinary-seeming objects in any culture might hold similarly complex and fascinating stories just waiting for us to uncover them?
Something to think about. Looking beyond the surface of the everyday.